personal power, people positive, the community of connection. This is the Bob Jeswald Show.
So we're here right now with Tyila Cooks. She's the executive director of Lifebridge Child Advocacy. And we had a little interesting little moment there because I was talking about CASA, which is a court-appointed special advocates. But when we think of kids being homeless, a lot of people think like you see them on the side of a street panhandling. Homelessness is they just don't have a bed, their own bed to sleep in. They could be sleeping at their friend's house, and they bounce from bed to bed. And that's a form of homelessness. And we have a systemic problem nationwide. But even here locally with our school district at Muskogee County, there's a lot of kids that are homeless here.
That's right. And a lot of the kids that are going through what we call ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, they don't make it into foster care. They never make it into care. They're still at risk of repeating some of the same cycles if they don't get some of the help that you get through something like CASA.
Yeah. And how do you work? Do you guys work with CASA?
Well, we do. We partner with them. They're one of our partners because that's one of the biggest things about our organization. There are so many great other organizations in our community, but when we work together and put our synergies in, we get so much more accomplished. And CASA is one of those that we work with. As a matter of fact, I'm a former CASA, and so is my husband.
Oh,
so,
good for both of you guys. Special people. You guys are great.
So that was kind of the conduit that led us down this path that we're on now.
Okay, and you accomplished the mission in two ways. Your responsive efforts assist with stabilizing the youth, families, and then those who are impacted by adverse childhood experiences, which you just mentioned, or ACE, that's the acronym, and your preventative efforts, too, to disrupt unhealthy patterns and motivate these youth to choose a real productive lifestyle. It's hard with what we're going through today. How many children are we roughly dealing with that need this special attention, intervention?
So nationwide, we're talking somewhere between 450 and 500,000 that are in foster care that have made it to that place. In the state of Georgia, that's somewhere between 14 and 15,000 at any given moment. And typically in Muskogee County alone, it's 400 to 500.
Wow.
Those are just the ones that have made it to foster care. That's not including the thousands that never make it there, but they're still struggling through an adverse childhood experience, which could be divorce, some kind of trauma, child abuse, neglect. There are so many things that fall under those categories. And many young people, trafficking is another one. And many of our young people, they don't get the help that they need, or they have multiple ACEs. You know, if you're going through divorce and child abuse, or divorce, child abuse and neglect. So all of that impacts the child when it comes to them feeling safe and them progressing and breaking those cycles so that they can have a healthy life.
And it seems so easy on the outside. And if people can just see and understand, we did a superhero run one year. We did for several years. It was the CASA superhero run.
Yes.
So, and you probably were there. You participated. I was the guy who emceed it. I don't know if you knew that.
I do remember.
Do you remember now? Okay, good. As we sit here live, now we know. And I enjoyed it. I really did. But when I would see the local judges, I see Robert and I see other local folks and seeing how much they're passionate about what goes into this, and then do some of the fundraisers behind the scenes to get this. What is it monetarily that we need? And I want to talk about this race that's coming up too, because anyone listening right now, this is in everybody's community, number one.
Yes.
The kids that they're going through. Then you're running with, I don't even want to get down that road, but just the complications of gender identity and this and that. And parents may have to think my kids want to do this. Are they running away for that? We just heard a situation from that sex trafficking. You mentioned that. It's real.
Yes,
it's so real. And if our kids, we can't get a handle on them, and sometimes it's the parents do everything in their power. They think they're doing right, and they just can't get these kids, so they bounce from one foster home to a next, or here and there. It is a disruptive lifestyle, trying to get them in one solid place. But we see kids that sometimes return. But going back to fundraising and trying to get the money, if anyone wants to put money towards something, how does it best serve you guys? Because I'm always trying to figure out, we got races and other things, but where's the money go, and why aren't we getting this on a federal level or state level?
Well, one of the reasons that we're not getting it at a federal or a state is because it has to directly apply to a program that's going through another state agency, typically, like DFACS. So because we're a nonprofit organization, it falls outside of those categories. Then we rely on things like the funding from organizations or in our community, like our big organizations, the AFLAG, the W.C. Bradley, other individuals in the community sharing. But that money is so meaningful. When we talk about making sure a child is stable that's in those situations, or a foster family feeling supported, many of our foster families, they'll try it once, but it's like you said, it's not easy. It's not easy being a foster parent. So one of the things we do as part of our responsive effort is take some of that money and surround those families with it. We help with some of their tangible needs, like stocking a freezer full of meat, helping to provide mentoring and tutoring, giving them cooking and preparing a meal and delivering it to them a couple of times a month. So if they've had a busy day in court, or they've struggled, in some capacity with just counseling or whatever they've had to do that day, how nice is it to come home and you have a cooked meal for you?
Oh, you're not kidding.
So things like that. And because of that, we've seen our parents, we have 2 foster families that have been repeat foster families because of it. We have great success because we're surrounding them. We're becoming the village that they need to be successful and make sure that child is successful.
It is a village, when we say to raise our children in the neighborhoods to see whatever we can do. How do we identify, or if we have somebody like that, say, even a kid his parents are going through a divorce, or she or he, and then they find themselves like, I'm through, I'm done. And I think of like that, I was trying to think, I was watching something one day. It was, which one was it? It was a show. I was watching some show, and a young girl, one of my kids were watching, and it seemed so common, but her parents are from India. I can't remember the name of the show. It's kind of cute. It might have been on Disney Channel. I have no idea. But anyway, the point is that this child's mom wanted to move back. She was very strict in her culture and her traditions in the Indian culture. And her father died. They moved to America. He had a good business. But when he died, the mom was trying to do it. And she was just so like helicopter mom to the max. And she couldn't stand anymore. So she just left and started bouncing around, staying with friends at the school. And that's part of the story. Told her mom, I don't want to come home and this and that. Is that the same thing, or is that something different?
It can very well lead to that.
Okay.
Parents sometimes get in a position when their child is struggling, especially during the teen years. They just don't know what to do. They don't know what to do about those behaviors. And sometimes without realizing, especially if the mom and dad have had traumas themselves, and they're doing things, we grew up with the term, you do it because I said so.
Yeah, of course. Or you get this, and that's the consequence. No consequences anymore.
But some of those patterns repeat, and
right.
It pours into your children, and they don't know what to do. So one of the things that we're doing through this is starting a branch of parent mentoring as well. As a matter of fact, some of the proceeds from this benefit that's coming up through a heat wave,
right.
we have through Big Dog, we'll be using that to fund what we call a summit, Build Summit. And it means building up individual leaders daily. And we have breakout sessions for our parents and for the children, because just like you said, the parents sometimes need some of that as well. They don't know what to do or where to turn when they're having challenges, and helping their children break through and work through some of that trauma.
Great. So you hit on something in even a local sense. If anybody out there working in a nonprofit or wants to be part of something like a Lifebridge, is Lifebridge is it a national, or is this just a local nonprofit?
This is a local.
Okay. But Lifebridge, I like the name of it, Life. You're bridging that gap. You're building these little seminars. You're talking about the Saturday's race is to benefit families and kids. Does that support like food and nourishment, or just for people to come?
Programs.
And your programs itself.
Right.
Good. Just to get everybody there, hunker in. What's the name of it again? Plug it again.
The
event this weekend.
It's the Heat Wave
5-miler. And yes. For the money from that is going to support
the Build Summit.
Build Summit. Okay. And Build Summit will bridge. I'm going to use your name of your nonprofit. These parents and kids together, and to bring some folks together. You bring professionals in from the community, and you'll have others there with them. So many people out there, what a great way to give back. I mean, you have the CASA programs, the court-appointed special advocate groups. You have the Lifebridge Advocacy for Children. And, you guys are trying to get these kids to feel like they have some foundation. If they're not suitable to go back home, are we trying to focus on trying them instead of going in and out of the court system from one foster family to next or this and that, because even that can be kind of disruptive. Are we trying to get them adopted, or what? Tell us about that. I mean, and how's the success rate with that?
So one of the things that we do in partnership with an organization called Clement Care, it's a network of churches that are doing something similar, and we work with DFACs and Twin Cedars as well to help with permanency. So helping to find adoptive families. My husband and I are adoptive families. We've adopted 2 of our 7 are adopted.
That's fantastic.
And
how many do you have?
7.
You just
7.
buried the lead there, Axel. Right. How did you go from that to 7? Oh my gosh! In Twilight, you speak so soft. You're so mellow.
Not
and relaxed.
always. Ask my kids.
I was going to say 7 kids. She said, just slip that right in there. We adopted a few, and we were 7. Whoa, wait, back up here. 7. God bless you.
So we share the story of our adoption journey. We've adopted one as a baby. We adopted one as a teenager, and people get afraid of teenagers.
Right,
but
sure.
A belonging, helping them to feel a sense of belonging, sharing the love of God just in that, and helping them to feel a village makes all the difference in the world. So those are some of the things that we teach. And even through our summit, we have, like you said, organizations like Goodwill coming to teach financial empowerment, with conflict resolution. As you know, in our community, a lot of our young people don't know how to successfully and peacefully resolve conflict. So we're teaching those skills, vision setting, managing risk. Micah's Promise is coming to teach them how to manage their risk.
That's fabulous.
So many of our partner organizations coming to pour into our parents, our young people. We have breakout sessions teaching our parents some of those skills to help them be successful at home and to help them give like a list of life skills that your kids need before they leave home.
Every community needs one like this. I'm telling you. And to see this kind of cooperation between the other agencies that come in and do this is just remarkable. Remarkable. I love it. So this summit and this races are always tough. Let me tell you, because I host these races, and I did many, and we were talking about too. I did it from Casa. We're chuckling here because we did it for the race. Over years, sometimes you just feel like, people kind of, if they drift off, but it's a tough thing. But with the heat wave, those were established runs, and that's the key. If anyone, and I can share this little insider here, and as somebody who helps out, I work for WRBL, but I do help. And I'll tell you, anybody out there listening to this too, if you're in TV and you want to give back, and that's my way of doing it, use the pulpit of television to push these things. They have like Tyila Cooks in here, or anybody that could benefit from something, because a microphone can go a long way to help. So I use a microphone on street corners. I happen to be a runner, although I just called you again. I FaceTimed you. Sorry about that. I keep doing it because I have notes written in here just to let everybody know, just disclose. And I am inside your my contact, so I keep hitting you. So, but the whole thing is that when we get these events going on and I'm out there, there's something very touching because you're learning, you're seeing a community. They really makes a big difference, and you can be part of that. And I can use the TV medium to promote it, which we're going to kind of do with this as well. So I'm encouraging anyone listening right now to do this. I mean, if you're looking like, gosh, what can I do besides just checking a box, coming in, do the weather, or whatever your position is in television or radio, find a way to get back in community. I happen to like to run, happen to like physical fitness, and so I connect myself with the running community. I have for many, 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 many years. And so I love it. Although I got some neck issues now and stuff. I'm not running as much, believe it or not, but I'm still part of this whole thing. So going back to my focus on community events and races. So we've had Teen Challenge. I use them. They did a Teen Challenge run. We had Van Alst run. We get these people to come in, and they want to do it. It's a great thing because, Teen Challenges across the nation, incredible what they do for our teens too and our youth. But they try to just do a run by themselves and do it. You attach what we're doing here, folks. If you understand what Tyila Cooks is doing with Lifebridge Child Advocacy, is attaching with the 5 miler, which is an established proprietary run with one of these running companies or running folks in your community. If you can get like dovetailed with one of them, that always brings in a lot of runners. People buy the T-shirts. Those are big sanction runs. It's part of what they call their summer series, the Heat Wave. It's a 5 miler point-to-point run, and when they start at Lake Oliver and run all the way down the Riverwalk and through downtown a little bit, uptown Columbus, Georgia, and we finish, it's great. And people sometimes they ask for people to be dropped off at the top, and then sometimes they'll bus it back and forth. The success is they can then give a good chunk of the proceeds to you guys and it's a nice little check they can write. It's a nice give back that Big Dog Running Company does, and that's nice that they do that. They could take all the money and say, heck. But for years, I know I've been with them. They've been given to Mercy Men. They've given to other agencies and Teen Challenge, and now you guys. So this is a smart thing that you attach as executive director. Yeah, that's why you're the executive director, and working with them. So I think this will be a success. So anyone out there, try to find people who are generous, like Tyila just said, and attached to a proprietary run. Because if you try to do it yourself, it is very difficult to make money, because you got to pay for the bibs, you got to pay for the chips, you got to pay for the running, you got to pay for the timing, you got to pay for this and that and the other, and then you got to get volunteers to try to get. And if they're not the people doing that, it's that you have no money left over after you pay all that. And that's why it was tough for us to do that at CASA for some years. And it went well. And thank you for the folks who participated and did it, but they got to the point where it made more sense for them to do like a benefit fundraiser with locals in the community, and they have silent auctions and stuff like that. Which, which makes sense. You're spot on with all of that. Yeah.
And Reggie Luther, Kamitra Glenn, who is our director, they work together to this, and we're so grateful to be the beneficiary of this opportunity. So you're spot on with all of it, and it's generous of them to do something like this, because like you said, there's a lot of labor, a lot of work that people don't consider when they get into this type of fundraiser. And there are other opportunities, like you said. Everyone doesn't always run, whether it's their health issues or whatever the case may be, fitness, but there are other opportunities to come out on Saturday and just cheer on those that are.
Yes.
Help them to stay hydrated, give them some water, things like that. So just to come and be a part of that community.
Energy.
Yes.
It's the energy building. Yes. You got to Tyila, because it does. It builds that energy, and everyone feels like it's like this synergy thing going on. Everyone's, just connecting. And I love that you said it, hand out water, get beta club hours. You could do so many different things like that. In any community that's listening, you could do this type of thing anywhere, any time of year. We choose the hottest time of year purposely, because that's what it's called, the heat wave. And walk. You can walk.
Oh, yes.
Just because it's a 5 mile doesn't mean you have to run the whole thing. We have people walk it.
That's
literally, yeah. So, you can walk it. It'll be shaded for about
5.2 minutes.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, you're about right. Yeah, that's it. And after that, you're going to have a lot of hot sun coming on you in this forecast. I can tell you, this Saturday is going to be one of the hottest days. This will go down as probably one of our hottest 5-milers in many years. So I'm already hydrating, because I'm still teetering, because I was getting over that crud that was going around, and that's what we're talking about. We're both doing throat lozenges here to lubricate our vocal cords. But it's, I've been doing kind of salt and doing Propel, and that I'm trying to build up, because it's, to do it right, you got to do it days in advance. You can't do it the day of. You can't hydrate the day of. People, just so you know, if you're a runner and you're like, I'm going to do it, get up Saturday morning and just go ahead and drink. That isn't enough time. You got to do this days. You got to do it at least days in advance, and start eating healthy and whatnot. So I'm going to try. My neck hurts, but I'm going to try to do it. I have stenosis really bad in my neck, so I'm going to try to do it. But I love the feeling of being with these people for a good cause, and that's the mark that I would impart anybody that's in the media. If you want to give back, take it off yourself, do something other than that, and you have to be a success in that. Get out in community and do it. I love to have these conversations, and then while you're running, I tell people right before we run, get in the space of why we're doing this today. There's some people who show up because they're just diehard runners. They're just got to get in there and get the grit and do the whole thing. But if you're in there with the space and know that we're here to help support you guys with Lifebridge, then you're like, oh my gosh, this is going towards something good. And you feel like you're part of something. And maybe get some volunteers. So how, and I know this is interesting too, because with CASA, they're great nonprofits, but you just can't take any volunteer off the street the same day. So explain that. There is a process when you're working with kids to vet or whatever you're doing. So, those are some of the things you guys got to do as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like CASA, we have our own process. Yeah. It starts with whoever is interested. And by the way, we are interested in having people who have experience. I did it again.
I'm so sorry.
No
keep doing this. I keep calling you. Alex, tie my hands behind my back. Sorry, Tyila. I just threw you off track. Go ahead.
No worries. So everyone has some kind of life skill that they have acquired. Before, I worked for a local Fortune 500 company for 22 years before entering into this full time. And through that, I acquired, leadership, teaching leaders, and training and instructional design, which I use now. But it's also my everyday skills, problem solving and decision making.
Sure.
We have individuals. We have one who comes and volunteers with us, and she loves crafts. So she's teaching our young girls how to sew.
I see how you
and
light up.
I know.
Smile,
I love it.
Smile. I love that. I like because this is
it
great.
does something.
Yeah,
It does something for the person who's volunteering, especially if you have someone who's retired or they want to do something meaningful with their life to influence or improve the life of someone else.
That's
so
awesome.
they share that. Whatever those skills are, reach out to us. We have our number is 762-821-1381. You can text the word CONNECT to that number. It starts the process where we go through and we see what works best for you. We do a background check. We have an interview, and we go through that process to make sure that it's really for you and we can find the best fit as well. We need individuals who come and facilitate classes, who help us with application because we want them. We have one person who just loves to paint, and she has turned that into what we call art therapy. So she comes and paints with our girls.
So many different aspects
so
to this.
many
Yeah, it's
different
not just by
things.
you showing up after school and
No.
talking to kids. We're making the kids productive.
Yes.
We're giving them outlets, hands-on stuff. Yeah, I love that.
Yes.
Hands-on. This is great.
Yeah, and we don't want to just give them classes. They get enough of that,
Sure.
from here and there. We help them to build out their vision, because if you've ever been around a person who's experienced trauma, a lot of times their confidence is one of the first things to go. So just sharing love with them organically, authentically, sharing the love of God, but also helping them to envision that the success you see around you is available to you.
Yeah.
So we have great mentors who teach them how to roadmap and build out a vision for their life. So they're not responding to life circumstances. They're planning, yes, I want to go to school. Yes, I want to put this much money in my account and then get an apartment and then have children. Starting to build what their plan for life is.
Lifebridge, nonprofit, doing a great job. Executive Director Tyila Cooks from Lifebridge Child Advocacy of the Columbus, Georgia area, doing some wonderful things, thinking out of the box, bringing together other nonprofits, other agencies to work together to help. One common goal is to get our children on the right path, which is really good. I guess you use some of these might be through ministry. You got some local counselors and folks that are just in their real life experience. If you'd like to just do anything, just volunteer, to be involved, or make a contribution. So many folks, whatever you can do to do your part, show up at a race, like in our particular one here, because we want to air this, and this will be aired, and of course you can hear this even post, but we want you to participate in these runs and do things that can help support. If that's a way you can do that, we appreciate your help and your effort for that particular cause. So again, best way to get in touch with you is Lifebridge. How can we find you?
LifebridgeChildAdvocacy.org.
Okay, LifebridgeChildAdvocacy.org. We're going to put that right on here. It's right here at the bottom where we get your podcasts, and right here at YouTube, and of course WRVL.com. Tyila Cooks, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are so kind. I love it. You got the most pleasant, laid back, and I want to hear you get mad. How does it sound with 7 kids when you're not listening to you?
Interview one of them next time. They'll tell you.
We're going to get the dirt the next time, folks. So this is Tyila Cooks Part 2. Let's find out the other side of Tyila when Tyila says, I've had enough. I know. No, that says a lot who you are. That we appreciate what we do from an infant all the way up to teenage kids. You and your husband are remarkable. We appreciate you. Because all the ones I've worked with, all you guys are with CASA, with Lifebridge, it's just really great to be with people like you, because it just shows you there's some hope. There really is. We hear the negative, that's a positive. So let's listen. Share this podcast, please. It's great. You can get it anywhere you get your podcast. Right here at Spotify, iHeart, Apple, any of these places right here. This is where you can catch it. You can also catch the lovely Tyila with her smile and her in the calm zone with her right here through YouTube and at WRBL.com, Instagram, Facebook, and of course Twitter. Will be some nice links here that you could take those and advance them, and we'll have a link there to listen to the entire podcast here with Tyila Cooks. Tyila, thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate you having us today.
And to appreciate what you do in the community for our kids. Thank you.